Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I am testing out a brand new product, which is the Gigi Hadid and Maybelline Jetsetter palette. I don't think this has been properly released yet in the UK, but they had a little pre-sale on the Boots website probably about a week ago when the palette was first announced, and I managed to get my hands on it then. So I thought I would do a little video before it properly releases, so if any of you are interested in possibly buying it, then you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect. So like I said, it's called the Jetsetter palette, and it is kind of a face palette, so it comes with a concealer, eyeshadows, a bronzer, highlight, blush, mascara and a couple of lip products as well. So in theory you can do pretty much a whole face of makeup with this palette, bar like foundation and brows pretty much. So this is the look I came up with using this palette. So if you'd like to see what I thought of the product and how I got this look, then just keep on watching. So this is how the palette comes. It has this outer sleeve on the front, which is this really cool like silver holographic colour that reflects rainbows, which is really nice. And then when you take the sleeve off, it's this kind of nudie pink colour with the same design as on the sleeve, and it's got the holographic bit around the side as well. It is quite a chunky palette. I mean, that is a fairly thick palette. I do tend to prefer them a bit slimmer just because they're kind of easier to store and easier to travel with, especially presuming this is the Jetsetter palette, so in the name itself you'd expect to be able to travel with this nicely, but that's just me being a little bit picky. This palette does cost £30, which in my opinion for a drugstore brand like Maybelline is a lot of money. You are obviously paying for the name on the palette, I guess, unless these products inside are amazing. We will have to see. So on the inside of the palette you get 2 concealer shades down here, then 2 lip balms, then you get a couple of little brushes. I have to be honest, these brushes don't really look like something I'm going to reach for very often. Then you have 4 eyeshadows just here, a blush, a bronzer and a highlight, and also a mini mascara. So I guess if you were really minimal with your makeup, you probably could travel with this palette. Obviously it doesn't have any brow products or foundation, but it has got a good range of products in there. So let's put it on my face and find out if it is any good. So first I'm going to go in with the concealer. There are 2 colours, which are these 2 just here, which they say are light and medium. So I'm going to use the lighter colour and just pop that under my eyes. I do tend not to like these kind of palettes that have concealer in them, because obviously the likelihood of the concealer actually matching you is quite slim, to be honest. I mean, let's be honest, those 2 concealers in there are not going to match the majority of people. There will be the few odd people that it will work on, but yeah, it's not going to match a lot of people. So I do kind of find putting concealers in these kind of palettes just seems a bit pointless to me. So in terms of my first impressions of this concealer, the coverage isn't the best. It's not like a high coverage concealer. I can't see myself reaching for this that often, to be honest. I do have big problems with my concealer creasing, and this has creased pretty much immediately on me. So yeah, so far the concealer, it's not terrible, but I'm not completely loving it. So obviously there's no powder in this palette, so I'm just going to set under my eyes using my RCMA No Colour Powder. And I already put my foundation on before I started the video just for speed. So I'm just going to set that down using my Rimmel Stay Matte powder. So I think next I'm going to do my eyes. So I'm quickly going to prime them using my Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. So there's not really an eyeshadow colour in this palette that's suitable for kind of setting my primer. So I'm just going to use the excess powder on my setting brush to just set that quickly. So in terms of eyeshadows, there is 4 in this palette. You get this light white kind of shimmery colour, then this kind of pinky purple mauvey colour, quite a dark brown, and also a black. So they are fairly neutral colours. I don't think there's a huge amount of variety that you could, like, in terms of looks that you could get out of these, but I guess this is a kind of a simple everyday travelling palette, so that's probably not what it is designed for. So just going in with the mauve shade, this does have a lot of kick up. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that there, but quite a lot of product has kicked up in the palette, so hopefully that will mean it's pigmented and not just poor quality, but let's find out. So I am just running this colour in my crease to use as my transition shade. This isn't showing up hugely pigmented yet, but let's build it up a little bit and see if we can get a bit more intensity out of this. So by no means is this the most pigmented eyeshadow I've ever used, but it's not the worst one I've ever used either. So next I'm going to use the brown colour here. Tapping into this one, this has much less kick up, it's barely got any at all. So let's take that into my crease also. Oh, this is a lot more pigmented, this one. I guess it's a darker colour, so it will show up more on me. I'm just going to take that on the outer corner of my lid as well. These are blending quite nicely actually. I'm just going to take a bit of that brown colour on my lower lash line as well. So now I'm going to test out the black, which is this colour here. I'm going to take it on a teeny weeny little pencil brush and just kind of add a tiny bit into the outer part of my crease and my kind of outer corner to intensify it a bit. I'm not one to normally use black, so I'm going to go a bit carefully here. This one in the pan is more like the brown one. It doesn't really have much in terms of kick up, so it looks like it's just the purple one that had that problem. So this isn't the most intense black I've ever used, but it's quite nice to blend and isn't too patchy or anything, which can quite often be the case with black eyeshadows. So yeah, I quite like this one so far. So lastly, for the eyeshadow, I'm going to use this white shimmery colour here for my lid. I'm just going to pack it on using a flat brush. Oh, that's pretty nice actually. I wasn't sure whether this was going to be one of these really sheer kind of underwhelming shades, but it is packing a little bit of a punch right there. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of this lighter shade in my inner corner as well. So my thoughts on the eyeshadows are that they're not that bad actually. They blend quite nicely. They're not the most pigmented eyeshadows in the world, but they do pack a decent punch. I especially like this kind of shimmery white colour. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how my eyes have turned out. I'm quite impressed with how they have included a black in here, because I feel like you could exclude the black from your eye look and it'd be a really kind of neutral, natural daytime look. But adding the black in just takes your makeup to another level and makes it a bit more kind of evening appropriate. So this palette also came with a mini mascara, and this is the Colossal Volume Express, which is just a mascara that Maybelline does anyway. I don't think I've tried this one before, so let's see what it's like. So on first impressions, this mascara isn't blowing me away, but I guess it's just one of them kind of bonus items in the palette. I don't think anyone would really buy this palette just for the mascara. I quite like how this mascara has gone on my lower lashes actually, so let's add another coat on the top. See if I can build it up a little bit more. Okay, yeah, now I'm putting the second coat on. It's looking a lot better. So I take back what I said in the beginning. I do quite like this mascara actually. Now I have a second coat on. It's quite volumizing and lengthening without being too clumpy, so that is what I like in a mascara. So now on to the face products in the palette. First I'm going to use the bronzer. I have a feeling I'm going to have trouble getting these out of the palette without kind of picking up all three products at once, because they're quite slim little palette, so I'm going to have to be really quite careful doing this. Right, so I think I've just got bronzer on my brush. Let's see. This is not too bad of a bronzer. I'd say it's a kind of a little bit orangey toned maybe. So maybe if you're really pale then you might not like this, but I don't think it's overly bad or anything. Although it is clinging to my cheek there. Why aren't you blending? Popping a bit on my forehead as well. So yeah, I think I like this bronzer. It has clung a little bit on my cheek here, but it hasn't done it anywhere else, so it may just be I haven't powdered that part of my cheek properly maybe. The colour's pretty nice, maybe not for mega pale skin, but yeah, I think if you're my kind of skin tone or maybe a little bit deeper, then this would probably be quite nice on you. If you've got much darker skin than me, then it's probably not going to show up. Now to try the blusher, and this blusher shade kind of terrifies me. It looks so bright, and really bright blushes are not my thing, but we're going to try it anyway. Again, I don't like the shape of a pan because it's hard to get this kind of brush into it without picking up the bronzer next to it. So here we go. Oh, that's not nearly as horrific as I thought it was going to be. Although again, it's not blending that well on this cheek. It must just be this cheek. So this blusher isn't as scary as I thought it would be. It is quite intense though. So I'd say if you're not a blush person, you probably wouldn't like this. I'm not the biggest blush person, so I can't see myself reaching for this blush all the time. I do tend to gravitate towards more kind of nudes and kind of soft pink colours as opposed to like this, which is pretty much neon in the pan, to be honest. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it is still pretty intense. Like, I feel like I need to tone it down a little bit. So let's try and blend out a bit with our powder brush. So yeah, it's a bit better. Dulled down with a bit of powder. So blush is so-so for me. The formula's not too bad. It's fairly pigmented, so you have to be a little bit careful with application, but the colour is just not the kind of colour I'd go for, but that is personal preference. So next for the highlighter, it's this really pink highlighter. I don't think I own a highlighter that is quite as kind of baby pink as this one, so it's certainly a little bit different for me. Ooh, it has a bit of a kick to it. So if you like a pinky highlight, then yeah, you'll probably like this. But if you're not a pink highlight kind of girl, then obviously this is not going to be the one for you. But yeah, it's building up quite nicely, and I think I probably would use it again. So finally we have the little lip balms to use. There's a more nudie colour and then more of a pinky colour. So I think I'm going to use the nude one today. And I'm not sure that this is meant for lips, but I'm going to try using the end of this little brush to see what it applies the lip balm like. So I don't think you're going to get any kind of intense colour payoff with the lip products in this palette. Obviously they are balms and not lipsticks, so that kind of suggests that they won't be the most pigmented. I'm not sure I'm liking how that brush is applying, so let's go in with my finger and see what it looks like. So I'm not sure I would get the most use out of these little lip balms. It's added a little bit of colour to my lips, but it is a very natural looking product. So this palette is not going to give you kind of any bold lip kind of look. The whole general feeling of the palette is all quite natural, which I guess Gigi Hadid is a fairly natural looking person. Like I don't often see her completely like caked in makeup on a day-to-day basis. So let's go take my ears off, then we shall wrap up this video. So this is the finished look that I have created, and I think overall I am fairly pleased with how my makeup has turned out. So I'm just going to give you a little roundup on what I think of each kind of individual product in the palette. So the concealer I didn't really like. I don't think I'm going to reach for it very often really. It just didn't have quite the amount of coverage I look for, and it did crease on me a bit. Eyeshadows I am pretty impressed with. They blended nicely, they are reasonably pigmented, and I really quite like the look I got out of them in the end. When I first looked at them I kind of thought they're nice colours but they could be a bit boring, but I think they are actually quite versatile now I've used them. Obviously the colours I've used in my crease are quite natural colours, which would be good for a daytime look. And obviously the black in there can kind of just turn a daytime look into a nighttime look by smoking it up a little bit. And then this shimmery white colour actually packs a fairly decent punch in terms of pigment, and yeah, adds a really nice shimmer to the lid, which is nice for an evening look as well. The bronzer I liked. I think for me it's quite a nice colour. Obviously it's not going to match all skin tones, and as far as I'm aware this is kind of the only palette they're bringing out. They're not doing one that would be more suitable for darker skin tones or anything like that, at least not that I've heard anyway. Yeah, apart from a little patch on my cheek, it all blended out nicely, and it was not too pigmented but enough pigment in it to get kind of a nice warmth to your face. The blush I wasn't as sold with. It was more the colour than anything for me. It's just such a bright colour, and I do feel like I'm not the only person that would be intimidated by that kind of colour. I feel like a lot of people do like a more kind of nude, natural looking blush, but I have managed to make it work. And I don't think I quite look like a clown. But yeah, I don't think that is a blush colour I'm going to reach for all the time. The highlight, however, I do really like. I was a bit unsure of the colour before I tried it, but now it's on my face, I do really like it. It's not the most blinding highlighter in the world, but it certainly has a bit of a gleam there. So yeah, you can build it up to be quite a nice intense highlighter. Lips, obviously they are very natural looking. They are balms. I don't think this is going to last very long on my lips, and it doesn't really look that different to my natural lips. It's just added a tiny little bit of colour. So say if I was to travel with this palette, then I probably would want to bring separate lip colours with me, just because I like a little bit more going on my lips. But if you're a very natural balm kind of girl, then you'll probably really like this. So overall I do like the palette. Not everything is a hit in there for me, and to be honest, for £30 I do think it's a little bit pricey for Maybelline. I know you do get a decent amount of products in there, but I do kind of feel as if it is that price just because it has Gigi Hadid's name on it. I think I definitely will get use out of some of the products. I like the eyeshadows, I like the bronzer, and I like the highlights, so I'll probably use them the most. Maybe I don't think I'm ever going to touch the concealer again, and I think I might use the blush and the lip balms on occasion. So I would recommend this palette if you like the look of the colours and the products in here. Or maybe if you're a really big fan of Gigi Hadid and you just want to support her, then I would recommend getting this palette, but I wouldn't say this is the most exciting palette to write home about, so I'm not going to say everyone needs to go out there and buy it now. But if you like the look of the colours and quite a natural all-in-one kind of palette, then you will probably like this. So anyway, that is all for this video. So I hope you have enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought, and let me know if there are any other products you would like me to review. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and maybe even subscribe if you'd like to see what else I have coming up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye!